Hi YouTubers, today I wanted to talk about products that have a really cult reputation, maybe just on the internet, but very often right throughout the beauty blog, magazine industry as a whole, that don't always personally live up to expectations. You can see there in screen I've put Yves Saint Laurent's Touche Éclat, which is one of those products for me. Pretty much every beauty editor, blog, magazine article you read about people's 10 essential products or cult favourites will mention Yves Saint Laurent's Touche Éclat as the kind of hero product for lightening up the under eye area. And it's been around for a long time now. As far as I can judge, more or less the whole career of the lady who was instrumental in formulating it originally for Yves Saint Laurent, who now has her own brand, By Terry. It's pretty much, was a seminal episode in her career, the creation of this product. And I thought about it yesterday, particularly because I was lured into Boots the Chemists by adverts for the new Yves Saint Laurent foundation, which is said to have been formulated along the same principles as the Touche Éclat, but is a product for the whole face, marketed basically as a foundation, although on some fairly cod science that certainly, as it was explained to me, I couldn't quite follow, in fact claims to be revolutionary and very different from other foundations in, as I understand it, giving buildable coverage somehow, but being actually far more of a light diffusing cream, which seemed to me, certainly as we tested it, to not give excellent coverage really, but to have different properties. Anyway, as I say, I went into the Yves Saint Laurent counter and spent a while having these foundations explained to me by a charming young lady who, unfortunately, I have to say, although she was putting herself forward as wearing the foundation, had very bad skin, which needed a lot more coverage than this foundation, as it was applied to her, was certainly supplying. And to add insult to injury, they didn't have any of the so-called free 7-day samples that were the big advertising hordes in the windows of Boots to lure you in to try out the foundation. She wanted to sell me a whole bottle there and then without any trial, and that was a no dice for me, I'm afraid. But it did make me think about Touche Éclat, which I have got in my makeup store cupboard. I do use it. I've bought more than one over the years, although I have tried other products, and I have to say, overall, probably found other concealing pens better for me. Specifically, I like the Dior version, although Clinique do quite a good version too. Sorry, I've got quite sticky hands. I can't get the lid off. So I had to just take it in front of a towel to do that. You'll all be familiar with this. It's you dab it on under eye area. It blends in really to give a light reflecting. So it's supposed to the tiny particles are supposed to reflect the light away and distract from shadows under the eye, rather than cover them up. And that's certainly what it does overall. It's a pleasant consistency, although I do think that inevitably it can highlight fine lines if you have them, if you have dry skin or older skin. I say inevitably, I do think some of the other formulations of other brands are creamier and do that less. Specifically, I would say for me, the Dior version, which comes in very similar packaging, the pen. I'm also testing a new product from Liz Earle, an English organic ingredient range. I'm not sure if it's organic, but it's certainly natural ingredients. Early days yet to say how I'm finding that, but I'll let you know. Similar principles. And all as I would say is really that maybe Touche Éclat is the celebrated product because it was the first of them, but I don't think it actually does, for me personally, any better a job than a number of other versions. Admittedly, of similar price point, I've never found a dramatically cheaper one that does the same thing. And if you have dark circles, as I do, and have done even since I was quite young, you're going to need another product to actually camouflage those. And in fact, using a light reflecting product isn't necessarily going to help that issue at all, even if you conceal. In other words, it may emphasize that issue. So given that's an issue for a lot of people, I'm always slightly surprised that this product is as celebrated as it is. But it's still, it's a product I've bought more than once, so it's not without its merits. This one, I just don't get it. Crème de la Mer, a really expensive face cream, now a whole skincare product. The cream was, I think, the first of the products and had huge publicity. It was supposed to be this miracle moisturiser formulated by a scientist who I think was researching the use of algae or some oceanic ingredient for repairing scar tissue and came up with this cream, which is fabulously expensive because of the quality of the ingredients it's said to use. Now, this is the original pot I bought several years ago. Because it was so expensive, I think this pot was something like £60-70, and it's a smallish pot. I'm still using it, and I will say it hasn't gone off, so we can say that for it. It's a very substantial jar. And you can see that, I'm almost down to the bottom now, so I have used it. But I have to say, sometimes I will think that a cult product is a surprise as a cult. I don't understand it, in part because it's an expensive product, that cheaper products do the job just as well. This product, it's an expensive product, and I actually don't think it does the job a patch on many other products, similar, expensive or less so. Specifically, I actually find it irritates my skin. It's quite highly perfumed. It's a very thick, viscous cream. They advise you when you buy it, or they advised me, not to apply it direct to the skin like that. I mean, it comes with a little spatula because you're not supposed to stick your fingers in these pots at all, and obviously it's not very hygienic. But I don't know about you, but I never use the spatulas after the first time. It's too fiddly. But even if you dip your finger in, what you're supposed to do, they tell you, is to kind of warm the cream between your fingers before you put it on, and that will emulsify it and mean it lasts longer. Now, I've tried that. I've tried it applied, by other means, just directly on. It feels thick and sticky when you put it on. It doesn't absorb well. I often found when I used it on my face that my face would feel, if anything, drier in the morning, having had an application of this before I went to bed, and often look redder around the nose and chin T-zone area, where I tend now to get a bit of redness, irritation as I get older. Just not an effective product. I've used it up, because I don't want to throw it away. It costs so much. I actually, have used it to see if it works, given the publicity about what it was made for originally on eczema. It doesn't. It makes it worse. I've used it on dry, cracked heels. It's okay for that. It doesn't make it worse, but, it's a bloody expensive cream to use effectively instead of Vaseline. And to be brutally honest, that's what the consistency is like. Vaseline with a far stronger perfume. I just don't get the people who say this is a fantastic product and worth every penny. But, it must work for somebody out there for them to continue selling it and selling a whole range now of other products tied in. The third product that I was thinking about last night when I was thinking about this issue doesn't fall into the category of it not doing the job. It does do the job. It's more the category of it's very expensive for the job that it does. And this is the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel Bronze Universal. And I bought this because of all the positive things I saw about it on the internet and read about it. Now, I should say at the outset that I am not a huge bronzer user. I'm pale-skinned and, I'm not going to look tanned ever. So bronzers I am basically using for contouring and just adding the tiniest bit of colour. And my issue with this product, I really love the packaging. I really love the luxurious feel. It has this unusual, slightly gelish, Play-Doh-y texture. My issue with it is really I do find it quite difficult to apply for the contouring issue. I apply it with, a blusher or a kabuki like this, swirling it around and then swirling it on the face. Now, not only do you get, I don't know if you can see on the camera, the little hairs of your brush tend to pick up and go into the pot, which, just aesthetically and hygienically, I'm not keen on. And that's just an issue because of the texture of the product that you wouldn't get with a bronzing powder, which would be the alternative, I guess, or a fluid out of a jar or tube to use in the same way. So I find that awkward, and I find it, on the brush, it's slightly cakey, so you do have to apply it with a very light hand. Now, it's absolutely possible, and it gives a perfectly nice effect on the face, but I personally have just got to be very much more careful and lighter in the application than I would be with a powder. I actually use, as an alternative, one of the Burberry blushes, in fact, but it's in such a bronzy colour that I can use it as a contouring powder. And I just find that much easier doing the same job. So I'm not saying this is a bad product. I'm glad I tried it. I love the packaging. I quite like the concept. I just don't like the faffing around that I have to do to achieve the same look that I can achieve much more simply with alternate products. And given it's quite expensive, I think that means that I won't buy it again. And I'm slightly surprised it is as highly praised, and Cult's putting it a bit high for this one, but as kind of universally popular, given that it is, I think, quite a difficult product to use effectively. And honestly, I mean, there are other products in the same Tan de Soleil range. They're straight sort of bronzing powders and doing a slightly different job, but I much prefer the fluid, Tant fluid in a little round bottle, which you're not using it for contouring, you're kind of using it for highlighting and giving a bronzy look. Much prefer that as a product, and yet you don't hear and see people praising it quite as much. So I guess, it's different strokes for different folks. But that's my three pennyworth on three products whose cult status I don't